Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first in-person episode of 2FAST2MOVIE. I'm your host, Abraham, and this is my co-host, Ben Collins.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 1 of Attack on Titan, titled To You in 2,000 Years, The Fall of Shiganshina, Part 1. Now, before we begin, please be sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. It really helps us out here on the channel. And spoilers ahead, not just for this episode, but all of Attack on Titan, because we're going to cover this episode in the context of future episodes.
Yes, so if you are a certain person, maybe my girlfriend who's rewatching this with me from the beginning, you need to stop right now. This is not for you, and there will be just absolutely shattering spoilers for that.
You will hardcore spoilers.
It will completely change the way that you're watching this.
We also really quick wanted to give a shout out to a viewer on the channel. His name is James Osborne. He's actually the inspiration for this rewatch because our last video did really well on the channel, and people seem to like our discussion. So we decided, we'll just go from the beginning and watch every episode pretty much.
I mean, and James, hopefully you're watching this. You've also we've seen all of your comments on all of our Attack on Titan content that you've partaken in, and we really appreciate the support and interaction. So guys, please get in the comments, let us know how we're doing, if there's anything that we missed that you think we should be talking about, because again,
we'll talk about it on the show.
Yeah, we're gonna be going through the entire thing on this.
Yeah. So I guess without further ado, actually one more thing I should say.
What?
I want to say, because this is obviously going to be spoiler heavy, and I want to come at this honestly, I have read the manga after Season 4 Part 1.
Yeah.
But I won't be leading, and I will not be, there's already a lot of information that we can talk about in the context of just Part 1 of Season 4 and everything that happens later. And I think that I'm not going to be spoiling. So if you are worried about that, don't be. I will not spoil. This is just good, honest discussion and conversation about the themes and motifs and just talking points of the show.
Yeah, this is... I have not seen it, so Abraham has serious power over me right now.
Well, don't worry. The day will come when we talk about Season 4 Part 2.
Oh, man!
And I will let out all of my thoughts then. But
okay,
for now, let us begin with the Fall of Shiganshina. Now, the Fall, on an initial watch, presents the attack of Shiganshina as an act of God, I should say. However, now watching Season 4 and really the entire show, we now know that this was nothing more than an act of man. A blatant terrorist attack on unsuspecting townsfolk and the end to over 100 years of, quote, peace. To think that the chaos we last left ourselves in stemmed right here at this point in time. It's kind of crazy to just go back to the first episode after...
I mean, there's so many moments, even with the opening, the opening, you would have to... We now know that it's more of a flash forward. I can only presume that it's part of that sort of shared memory and the streams that all the Eldians share.
And of course it does.
But watching that and then seeing some pieces that we only saw a couple things that happened in that in the most recent season.
Yeah.
Again, I was watching this with my partner for a rewatch a couple weeks ago, and she's just oh man, that's weird, and I'm sitting there just with my jaw on the floor.
I'm pretty sure we saw Willie Tybur.
Yeah, we did.
That was crazy.
Yeah, of course it wasn't as fleshed out. It wasn't near its final version, but it was very identifiable.
Yeah, and I will say in the manga, it's even more, they get more on the nose with it. The line, I think I can share it because this won't, you still won't know how it plays out. But in the manga, fast forward 30 seconds, there's a panel where Mikasa says in the first panel, see you later, Eren. And it's just Mikasa with her scarf saying goodbye, Eren, or I'll see you later.
No,
and
that was...
he wakes up.
No, that was the final line in the anime. I believe that...
I don't remember the dialogue.
It's been about 2 weeks since I went back and started my rewatch.
I didn't remember the dialogue, but regardless, the imagery is new to the anime. And I just think that's it's just great that Isayama is such a genius writer that he was like, I know exactly how I'm going to write this thing. And from day one, he was like...
He fucking went for it. Like, there's no doubt in he just went for it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the way that the culture around the outside world, as it's presented in the show, because there's a point where Armin and Eren are talking later on in the episode, and they're saying like, you know, why can't people just like let us dream about the outside world? And Mikasa's like, shut up, someone's gonna hear you, which off the bat on a first watch you're just like, oh whatever, but then in season 3. When all the fuck shit happens with the king and the memory wipe, like it's just like even from that point he was thinking about that.
Yeah. Again, this is like one of those shows where like everyone's been constantly comparing this to Full Metal Alchemist on the rewatchability, and like this was my first time going back and doing a true rewatch, and like the last time that I rewatched season 1 was when season 2 was coming out. Mm-hmm. And we didn't really have revelations about the world and everything back then. And it was just like, most of us were rewatching season 1 because it had been years since season 4.
Exactly.
So going back and like actually knowing everything that we know now, there's so many moments just with not even just with the outside world, but with the way that the government like is structured, and then you start noting like the way that the towns sort of like have their little pockets on the outside.
Yeah.
It's like everything gets more and more fucked up.
The way that the garrison just like behaves as like a unit, like not caring about the possibility of Titans coming in, which like they're granted 100 years, no Titan attack.
Well, actually, here's my counterpoint to that. 100 years in the grand scheme of things is not a lot of time. That's just 2 generations.
But also man-eating monsters that wiped out all of humanity. I mean, like, that's what they believe, at least.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about, like, they delved more into that in later episodes.
Yeah. It gets really, like... I've had so many mindfucks, but there's a lot of things that I want to talk about regarding this that are just episode 2 and episode 3 later down the line as more.
Yeah, of course. And of course, this is just the opening thing, so we're going to talk more about that in our next episode where we're talking about 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But for now, let's talk about Reiner and Bertold.
Yes.
Specifically Bertold, because Reiner actually makes an appearance in the next episode. Bertold is the one who makes an appearance this episode. It is wild to think that it was a child soldier who did that. And, like, because remember when we were watching this, like, in 2013, 14 when this came out?
2014.
Like, the imagery of just this hulking monster with, like, no skin and just all flesh and bone, destroying, like, killing.
I always thought that it had to be, like, an older man. I never...
Or, like, a god, or, like, something.
Well, let me rephrase that. I always thought that it was an older man once Titan shifters were revealed.
Right.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, but beforehand, like, again, it felt like an act of God.
Yeah.
And this show quickly went from this sort of existential eldritch horror to just the exact opposite of that.
Just like literal war.
Yeah. I will say, one thing that we did note is the fact that Bertold, and just knowing what we now know about the Colossal Titan's powers, with the fact that it's akin to dropping a nuke on something, given a certain situation, Bertold doesn't necessarily do that.
Yeah, he could have destroyed the walls.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he could have, or wanted to, because from their perspective, remember, they believe that Titans are in the walls, and they know that.
They think that the king is going to come in and make a big shit of things.
And if you put a Titan in the sunlight, like, it activates. Like, it's like it wakes up and it starts moving and, like, becomes a mindless Titan.
Yeah.
So, I don't think, as much as I'm like, Bertold is, like, a nice guy, which, like, I think he was. He's a child, of course.
Yeah.
I don't know if him not causing that nuke-level bomb was solely for the sake of protecting the citizens. At least in this moment, I'm not sure.
I think that the idea was, well, you also have to remember that their goal was to try and flush out the Founding Titan, and they were trying to see if the Founding Titan would react and come and intervene with this very much, from the Founding Titan's perspective, a direct attack on the city.
Yeah. Which is a bad plan, if we're being honest, because
it was made up by literal children. Like,
well, the government did that. They sent them out.
Well, no, they sent them out to find it, but the strategy was completely up to them.
The strategy
was up to them. Reiner was the one that decided to do the this is all Reiner's fault.
That was the second time. The first time, I think it was their. I don't know.
Was
it?
Yeah.
No. The government's plan initially was destroy the wall, infiltrate.
I could have sworn it was just infiltrate.
But you can't just infiltrate by just like walking up to the wall, because it's illegal to go outside the walls. They would have been like reprimanded to the military police. Like Grisha almost happened to Grisha. He almost got locked up in jail. So it was to destroy the wall, infiltrate. Then later on, they were like, man, it's been 5 years, we haven't gotten anything. Fuck it, let's destroy another. Then Reiner was like, let's destroy another wall.
Okay, so maybe we're both misremembering this, and this is the fun part of the fact that now, instead of covering just one episode of the podcast, we have to cover the whole fucking
pantheon
thing.
Of the Attack on Titan.
No, because after the original Jaw Titan gets eaten by Ymir,
right,
and basically fucking Reiner just clocks the shit out of Manny, completely subdues her.
Yeah.
I thought that was the moment that they decided that they were actually going to, try and flush out the Founding Titan with that strategy.
They were going to continue the mission. I think the mission was always to do what they did. As fucked up as it is. And then later on, I'm pretty
Let us know who's right in the comments, because
settle this debate.
Yeah, what actually happened here?
But regardless, the plan is shitty, because the Founding Titan apparently, like we learned later on, like it can control every Titan. We don't know the extent to which they can do it, but seemingly Zeke can control mindless Titans. So what's to say that what's the name?
Well,
Eren,
they didn't have
controlled the mindless Titans too.
Well, the only person that truly knew that at this point would have been Willie Tybur, because the Marlene government has control over the Titans at this point, but they don't actually know a whole lot. Like, that's the whole reason. Like, once Zeke gets his Titan powers, they don't even realize that it's connected to the fact that he has royal blood. They have no idea that he has royal blood.
True. Yeah.
So they're
really only working with 100 years of
they're
ingenuity, trying to figure out the science behind it.
Yeah, and again, 100 years is actually not a long time.
Yeah.
So they're trying. They think they have a good hypothesis, but the issue is that they just. This doesn't actually happen, because as we learn later in season 3, the king is a little fucking full of shit and fucking coward.
Well, actually, no. I think that's I don't think coward's the right word.
No,
I think it's.
If you're.
It's a fool. The king is a fool.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I would say fool and coward are one and the same, because when you
think so?
In this situation. You are okay. So this is something that I think most people would agree on. The German people of today are not responsible for the crimes of the Germans in the past.
Right. Clearly.
The king does not understand that.
Yeah, but that is
outward cowardice. The fact that he is willing to take his own suicidal mindset and own shame and then project it across all of his now currently innocent people. That is cowardice.
Again, I think the only reason why I'm shying away from that word is just because of his demeanor that we see later on.
I don't give a shit. He's a fucking dick.
I mean, of course, I'm not disagreeing with that. Absolutely a fucking awful human being that would rather just live in solitude, in fake peace, rather than try and make the world a better place with this ultimate god power that he has. Like, I don't think it's out of fear. I think it's out of like blind responsibility. But like even that is warped.
I can say it's out of guilt.
That's guilt is a guilt is a word.
If you have to pin it down, it has to be out of guilt.
I just think that like it's not because he's like, oh my god, they're gonna come and break my walls. It's more like I don't think that that's what he's doing. He's just.
To me, cowardice means refusing to face the problem directly.
In that, I will agree with you.
To me, that's what cowardice is.
In that, I agree with you.
So it's not that he's scared of a person. It's that he doesn't want to own. He has never wanted to own up to his own problems.
Absolutely, facts. Last thing we should talk about in this episode, really. So we were just watching season 4, and Aaron was a fucking mad lad. And the whole time we were thinking, man, Aaron's changed a lot. Turns out, hasn't changed that much, actually, in the course of the show. No. In fact, he pretty much doubled down. Like, he started to change over the course of the show, and then somewhere after season 3, in between season 3 and 4, he went back to season 1 Aaron. Season
1 Aaron is... here's the thing. I wouldn't consider him the same as season 1 Aaron, if I'm being completely honest. Mm-hmm. I will say that, and we're going to talk about this later, but you see a lot of the qualities that are going to turn him into the fit. Like, season 1 Aaron is very charismatic and very thoughtful of what he wants to get done.
Tenacious.
Yeah.
He's inspiring force.
When he has an idea, he commits to it. And you see this in that you baseline see this with the way that he is treating with the way that he's idolizing the scouts. You can baseline see it with the way that he interacts with people, with just the basic schoolyard bullies in this first episode, which are just like totally a non-problem later down the line.
With the way he talks to his mom and his dad about how like I'd rather like being in here is like being like a caged animal for all of your life, and I'm like. Kid, well, this is like Animal Farm level.
Yeah.
Like,
well, here's the thing. He's totally right.
But
I don't see I don't see him as the same as season 4 Aaron, because at this point there's a lot more empathy that this person still possesses.
Yeah, I just mean resolve.
Well, resolve, but I think that's something that's always existed in the character, and it gets tested, and it actually gets whittled away through season 2 and 3.
That's what I mean. Like,
but
over the course of the seasons before the reveal, he's like broken. He's like always like feeling like he can never do anything, and then finally he like learns to lean on other people. But then something happens.
And we still don't know what that is.
And he's like...
I mean, you do, because you read the manga.
I do, but... yeah. But then he's like, I gotta do my own thing. Sorry.
Yeah. So, I think that a lot... And again, as we're recapping this, we're going to see a lot of what makes Aaron, Aaron.
Yes, we will. Yeah, that's pretty much season 1, episode 1. I guess any closing thoughts that you have on...
I mean, this is still like probably one of my favorite pilot episodes in anime history.
It's really good. It's a really strong pilot, actually.
It's like, you don't not watch this episode and go, oh, that's cool. I guess I'll be here next week.
And also, like, the death of his mother as, like, the final thing, the way that everything is drawn out.
Yep.
It's like this episode is a very slow burn.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, oh, I've heard so much about the show. You're expecting a lot of action right off the bat, but it's really it's such a good tension piece because you have, let's talk about episode structure. In the beginning, we know that there's going to be
a flash forward.
Not that. It opens up with Berthold's colossal titan staring over.
Showing what's going to happen.
And then we end up with this flash forward thing that then leads into basically a flashback, him waking up. And
it's
you
just
can
life.
You just get this nice slice of life. You get some introduction to what it's like inside the walls without it being too much lore, but it's this really nice focused character piece. And you get to sort of understand the little microcosms.
Yeah.
And then, just when you've been introduced to all these characters, everything gets ripped away.
Yep.
And it's not it's the thing that I like about it is it's not just trauma for the sake of trauma, which I feel like a lot of writers and animators that see this kind of thing or go like, I need to have a traumatic ending to my first episode. No, this is all about character building. Like this is one of the amazing things about this manga is how just well fleshed out its characters are, and the entire first episode is just Eren, Mikasa, and you meet Armin.
Yeah, and that's all you need for a really good pilot. But hey, that's our thoughts on Season 1, Episode 1 of Attack on Titan. We warned you, spoilers. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget, please let us know who was right.
Yeah, I was about to say, because we're not going to really know until this comes out.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Bye.
Yeah? Oh, it's 2FAST2MOVIE.
You said my thing.